But yeah, I think we are. I think we're good to go. So, Rudy, I just wanted to give like a brief introduction. I know this is going to be somewhat conversational, but I am excited about the information that you have to present. I think we chatted what, like a few weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, and uh, when you talk to someone initially and you connect with them and it feels real and natural, that's kind of what I felt with you. It was just a really great conversation, and I reached out because I'd heard you on a couple of really big podcasts. And so I was like, then I started recommending your eyewear to some of my clients and some of our members. And I really love the fact that you personally reached out at some point and asked if I had some questions, and you're handling some customer service issue, which I know you have a team of people, but I just thought that was a really great personal touch. And I also get this vibe that this is, I mean, obviously we're going to be talking about light and dirty light, or however you term that. And then the benefits and detriments associated with circadian rhythms and sleep and energy and things like that. But I just kind of felt like you had like a higher connection or some other vibe around that. So I wanted to get on here and see if we could learn from you and get some information from you and some great takeaways for our health and answer any questions that our people might have, if that sounds cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate hearing that from you. And also, when you reached out, I was wondering where you knew about us, because we work very particularly with very few people. So like our partners are ones that we've connected with, that we know they are on a mission to truly help and not merely recommend a product. And when I connected with you, I was actually inspired because you were already sharing about our mission. You were already sharing about what we do, even without connecting with us. So I appreciate this so much.
Yeah, and I'm sure what you're saying is some people reach out and they're just like, "Hey, I just want to get an affiliate code or something like that, so I can
Yes.
make some money off of it." Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, no, I want for my people to learn something great here, and then yeah, I mean, we'd love to learn about your glasses as well. So you are an engineer, right, and a health entrepreneur, and you founded this company, Viva Rays. But how did you get there? I'm just curious about your story. Is that part of what we're going to learn today?
Yeah, absolutely. I could start rolling about my story. Um,
Okay.
I actually have had the plan to share it within the presentation, but that's all good. The reason why I do all that I do actually started way back when I was a little kid, unconscious that I'm going to be doing these things. And about 24 years ago, I was a kid at school who really struggled with debilitating headaches, agitation, and complete inability to focus. And intuitively, as a kid, I always wanted to leave the classroom and to be outside. And I found myself in sunlight, bathing. However, my environment didn't really understand this. My teachers got really annoyed, and I was diagnosed with the label ADHD, which as a kid I didn't understand. But then I started getting the vibe of what that meant to others through the way they were treating me. And it was very heavy to carry that around. And actually, I considered that event something that really dimmed my light, because as a kid I was super intuitive, and I had this inner knowing inside of me that was not very related to what I was learning from books from my teachers.
Yeah, you were like outside of the norm, and you felt like a little bit different and special, which I
Yes.
found now in my more mature years. Sometimes that label of ADHD, or you can't sit still, or it's like these tend to be extremely intelligent people because they're not conforming to the standard learning system.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in our society, we have the tendency to put labels on anything that we don't understand, rather than trying to understand those things and see what we can learn from them. Because as you will see, there's a lot to learn from anything we don't understand, or any kid who we classify as having, I call special needs. People classify them with all different things, but those kids actually are very intuitive, and they're feeling things that other around us are not feeling or sensing, yet they're being affected by those things equally in the same way.
Yeah.
So growing up, I started in my engineering school, and during this phase, I was really the most disconnected from myself.
What kind of
And
engineering was it?
I did civil and mechanical engineering.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like even though I went through engineering school and everything, that was like a program merely. I was doing what my teacher told me. They said you're good in math and physics, go do engineering. I went and did engineering. And throughout that period, I was very miserable. And I lived a night owl lifestyle where I stayed up very late, studying, feeling wired, super stimulated around electronics. And then I would wake up the following morning, really lacking the energy, focus, and motivation. And eventually, as I lived my university years, day after day, I start feeling extremely depressed, and I start dealing with chronic fatigue and complete disorientation. And this was really sabotaging my professional life as an engineer after I graduated. Even my relationship with my loved ones, like every aspect of my life was really negatively affected by this lifestyle. So, as you may imagine, I was really looking for a solution in order to feel better. And I was genuinely looking because I really wanted to change this. And my journey started with conventional medicine that told me that I should be taking prescription drugs for my depression and numb that out. And thankfully, I had the awareness to completely refuse this. So I started this long journey with holistic medicine, going from one holistic doctor to another and experimenting with all these different diets, herbal formulas, meditation techniques, physical exercise techniques, biohacks, and whatnot.
Sounds like a lot of us, honestly.
Yes, totally. And that wasn't the easiest because I was getting flooded by different information and I was feeling very confused on what to do, right? However, I kept patiently experimenting, and I could tell you that I tried all the different diets on earth. And I grew up like someone doing a lot of physical exercise. I did a lot of martial arts and whatnot. And I was wondering, like, how could I be doing all the right things, yet not getting the results that I want? And that was very like disappointing to me, to be honest. Now, one specific event in my life, which is very simple, you're going to be mind blown. It changed all of this for me. I went on a farm, it was a rural farm in Quebec, really out of the blue, no electricity, nothing. And I was camping in my tent for 6 weeks, where I was exposed only to natural light during the day and fire and candlelight during the evening. Now, within a matter of 3 days, and I'm being serious here, 3 days, something miraculous happened. I started winding down in the evening, feeling super relaxed, super mellow, going shortly to sleep after the sunset, to then wake up before the sunrise for the first time in my life, feeling super refreshed, super energized, motivated, and focused. And to me, that was a bit of a shock because for my life to shift from one side of the spectrum to the other side in 3 days, I didn't understand how. I found myself with a lot of energy, farming, cooking, dancing, going swimming in lakes, studying books, deepening my relationship with my loved ones. And I was able to achieve in a 24-hour period more than I would in a year, literally. And the most
Did you know what it was? Did you know what it was? Did you have an idea?
Yes, you're going to get to know that.
Okay.
So the most fascinating thing about all of this is that during my farm trip, I didn't change my diet. I didn't take any supplements. I didn't do any new biohacks. And I was meditating and exercising in the same way I always did. So I didn't like, how did that magic happen, right? Unfortunately, this magic didn't last very long because when I moved back to the city after 6 weeks, within a matter of few weeks, I literally fell back into my old terrible routine. And I found myself again depressed, chronically fatigued, and unable to function. So at this stage here, I was like, whoa, like, what is that? And how could that happen? So I remember going to a Vipassana retreat, which is a silent retreat center for 10 days. And during that meditation, I had one question written upon my heart. the whole time. What happened? And I remember on the fourth or fifth day, as my mind was quieting more and more, I was getting all these impulses and images that was about my light environment. And to me, as an engineer, trained to see and to look at light as something merely superficial that makes vision possible, this didn't make any sense to me. Regardless, I decided to follow my intuition and that impulse. And I started a long journey of 7 years so far, studying quantum biology, circadian biology, and studying about light. And I wanted to understand how light deeply affects every aspect of our well-being. So I think I could start sharing with you guys, because my intention with this presentation is I want to start by teaching everyone a very simple quantum equation that actually explains how light is the core nucleus of our health, life, and well-being. And I want to show everyone why starting to pay attention to this equation and how it manifests in our life will enable you, me, and everyone, no matter who you are, to have an abundance of energy, reverse aging, overcome inflammation, sleep better, and maintain a balanced weight. And the best part about what I call the light nutrition or the light diet is that it is for free almost. It's nature's gift to us. And all we need to do is tune back into that power. And I would also like to open everyone's eyes about a truth which manifests in the dual side of light, and show you why this underlooked truth can either create wonders and healing or can lead to dis-ease, inflammation, and unrest in our life. Okay, so my promise to everyone is that by the end of this presentation, you will definitely feel much more enlightened about the topic of light.
Heck yeah, we're excited. Have I got the ability to let you share, or you can share your screen, right?
Yes, I'm going to do this at the minute. Also, I invite everyone, if you could, for sure, to turn on your camera and show me your beautiful face, because this is really something we're co-creating together, and I'd love to feel your energy. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So the quantum equation E equal mc squared by Albert Einstein. E is light. M is mass, which our physical body is. And C is velocity or speed. And this equation states clearly that light and matter are exactly the same things. And that when light slows down, it is continuously being transformed into matter. So our physical reality is but condensed light that is vibrating at a lower speed. There's no such a thing like matter. And this also means that you are light beings.
Now, when you say there's no such a thing as matter, you're saying that it's light that's slowed down. It's not actual.
Absolutely. There's no such a thing like matter. All matter that exists is light waves in motion that is vibrating at different speeds. So even this planet itself and everything around you at this moment is powerfully shaped by light. So is my screen moving?
Okay, it just took a second. Okay. Yeah.
So I want you to take a moment to yourself, take a deep breath in, and contemplate the beauty of this equation and really what it means to you in your life. So when light hits the cornea in the eye, it slows down. There's a very unique substance in the eye called vitreous EDI that is composed of collagen, water, and acids that is designed to slow light down as it hits the cornea. And through this light, we are being regenerated with new life every single day. Our glands, our tissues, our hormones, our neurotransmitters are being regenerated by the quality of this light. And it's now validated because we now know that most of our neurotransmitters that enable us to make a model of ourselves in space and time and perceive ourselves, our loved ones, and our environment are actually programmed by the light that enters our eyes, such as dopamine, serotonin, and so on. So light, my friends, literally creates reality. So this is not philosophy. This is actually quantum biophysics. And today I'd like to show you how you can actually practically implement this information and turn it into knowledge in your own life. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, light has a dual side. And today, more than ever before in our history, most of us are spending much of our time indoors, between four walls, behind windows, and being exposed to a lot of artificial lights from light bulbs, phones, screens, and devices. So here's Dr. Alexander Wunsch. He's a researcher from Germany in light medicine. He says that the right type of light at the right time of the day can create wonders and healing. However, the wrong type of light at the wrong time of the day creates disease and illnesses. So the goal is really for us is twofold. One, maximizing healthy light, and two, eliminating junk, toxic light. And as simple as these two steps may seem, they have fundamentally transformed my life and the life of thousands of people that we work with. Now, by now, you have already heard my story and how light helped me tremendously to transform my life. So within that 7-year journey, I started to learn about mitochondria, the power engine in our bodies, that we all know that it's burning this food that we eat and it's producing our energy. But not only it's producing our energy, it's also synthesizing a very important type of water called deuterium depleted water, which is absolutely essential for all metabolic functions and for the health of our organs. It's also the water that you might have heard as the fourth phase of water from Dr. Gerald Pollard, which is a very different type of water that we know, like the first three phases. It's more coherent, it's more structured, and it actually can hold information and transmit information into our DNA. So I'm not gonna dive so much in the water because that's a whole different topic by itself that will require another session. But in a nutshell, the better those mitochondria are working and functioning, the more ATP they produce and the more water they produce. And then the more energy we have to heal and to carry out optimal daily functions from thinking, digesting, creating. But guess what? Healing and sleeping as well requires energy. So it has recently come to light that these engines called mitochondria not only produce energy and water, but they play an absolutely essential role in transmitting very important information from the environment into the cell. Okay, so you could think of those mitochondria as like they have greater ability to sense what is going on in our environment. And one of the most important information that is continuously being transmitted from the environment into our cells is actually light. Did my screen change? Yes? Okay. So why light? Because for the past 1.5 billion years, the mitochondria evolved from a single cell organism called bacteria to become this super powerful engine that is able to produce unlimited amount of energy that has driven our evolution. And throughout those years, this engine has evolved to get those light waves from sunlight, which increases in intensity, which means in brightness, and in color temperature from sunrise to solar noon, just like a crescendo of a musical scale. And then it starts to decrease in brightness. It drops down in color temperature, which means that it descends down in the blue and green light frequencies to actually transition into the darkness of the night. And this contrast between light and darkness and all of these frequencies of light that gets layered upon each other as the sun moves in the sky act as very important information for the mitochondria. During the day, it activates the mitochondrial ability to produce energy. It activates our metabolism. And at night, in the absence of blue and green light, when we start transitioning into the nighttime, this is an absolutely essential trigger for the mitochondria to start repairing itself at night. So speaking about healing, the scientific or the biological word of healing is known as autophagy and apoptosis. Okay, so other than producing energy, our mitochondria play absolutely essential role in those two important processes within every cell. You can think of autophagy as cellular cleaning that happens every night, just like, you know, a dishwasher would clean the dishes. And apoptosis is cellular death. You know, as an example, you're replacing something, right? You're replacing dead cells with new ones, just like you would replace the oil of your car's engine with new oil. Now, every night when we receive the right signal of darkness and when we go to sleep, we are meant to clean ourselves, heal, and rejuvenate. And this can only happen at night after receiving the right signals through our eyes. In other words, in the absence of blue and green light. And this process is optimally activated when our eyes witness the slowly fading light at sunset, and then we transition into the darkness of the night. Now, here is the problem. 95% of the people living in our modern world are not getting this signal of darkness through their eyes because we are continuously exposed to the second sun from our LED bulbs and screens. And the second sun actually confuses our body about the time of the day. And therefore, autophagy and apoptosis is not properly activated, which means that healing and rejuvenating is not happening when we sleep. And even though we might sleep for 8 hours, this actually happens at a subconscious level. It's happening at the level of the cell. And this is when one day we run into a chronic disease and we're like, where did that come from? Now, is that thing perceptible? Yes or no? It's not perceptible for someone who is stuck within that cycle and haven't experienced what it feels like to be outside of that cycle. However, for someone who is optimally living in an optimal light environment, and they know what it feels like to live in rhythm, they know what it feels like to truly rejuvenate and repair and decentrate at night, this person could easily tell without any devices, without any Oura ring, whether they actually got the proper autophagy and apoptosis at night or not. It's just very obvious. Once you get there, once you start living in rhythm, there's no stepping back. It becomes absolutely exalting. So when we're stuck in this cycle, eventually, day after day, those mitochondria start losing their efficiency. And mitochondria losing efficiency equal to aging, equal to inflammation, equal to neurodegenerative diseases. This is actually what happens when we talk about aging. Aging is a state of inflammation where mitochondria are not able to function in the same way they used to function when we were still, young. Yet we have the power to keep that youth and keep that longevity once we start giving ourselves the right cues from our environment. So here's Dr. Douglas Wallace. I'm absolutely grateful for this guy. I learned so much from him. And he won a medicine award back in 2017. And he discovered that many of the modern chronic diseases, inflammation, sleep problems, digestive issues, depression, anxiety, cancer, diabetes, are actually originating in the mitochondrial genome and not in the nucleus genome like we originally thought to be. And this also explains why I was still struggling with my health even after optimizing my diet, exercise, and meditation. There was a reason why, because my mitochondria wasn't able to function properly. It wasn't getting the proper signals of light and darkness that it needs to actually activate metabolism during the day, healing and rejuvenation at night. So my body wasn't getting enough darkness, and the dishwasher wasn't able to work well at night, and my cells were getting plugged and not clean. So here's another doctor. He's a biochemist. His name is Albert Szent-Györgyi, I believe. He won the Nobel Prize back in the 1937 with his phenomenal discoveries that many enzymes and hormones in our bodies that are involved in metabolism and the digestion of food are activated by sunlight frequencies. Not only this, so much so that this activation increases those enzymes' efficiency by 500%. So I'm going to repeat this and take a moment to contemplate this number, 500%. This means 5 times more efficient at absorbing nutrients from the food that we eat. This also means 5 times better at digesting food. This could also mean 5 times less paying money on food and supplements. So I want to ask you, how would you feel if you had 5 times the amount of energy that you currently have? What would you create with that energy? How would you feel if you started feeling much more satisfying by eating 5 times less and having 5 times more energy? That would be phenomenal. And it is possible. I personally experienced this, and every person we work with experienced this within a matter of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days when they start doing the right things and when they start getting the proper signals of light. So here's something that I learned that I found very inspiring and really cool. The blood that is pumped by the heart is now known to circulate through our eyes every 2 hours. But here's something even cooler, that when light enters our eyes, it actually stimulates the nutrients in our blood and it allows them to be fully absorbed by the cells. So what is actually happening when most of our society has been programmed to put sunglasses when we're outdoors and has been sitting behind windows and behind walls all day long and not getting this most nutritious energy that we can ever get from sunlight. Also, another question that comes up to me is, if healthy light entering our eyes makes us 5 times more efficient at absorbing food, what is the implication of exposing our eyes day and night to human man-made light that is far off from being similar to sunlight, which we evolved under for billions of years. What is the implication of this? So I hope that by now, we are starting to connect some dots, and we are starting to see why we want to maximize healthy light and why we want to eliminate junk artificial light. So I'd like to summarize this section with an analogy. Just like any car, preferably a Ferrari with a really strong engine, require a fuel, oxygen, and a spark to create an internal combustion and generate energy. Also, our mitochondria requires fuel in the form of food, oxygen as we breathe, and a spark of light to ignite that process of metabolism. And this has been validated through the work of Fritz Hollweg, a German scientist, who showed us that light actually entering our eyes converts into an electric signal that is actually activating our metabolism and our pituitary gland. So we all know that if the ignition system of this car is broken, this car on the right side, right? Fuel alone, if we go to a gas station and we put fuel in this car, we all know it's second nature that is not going to work. The car is not going to be able to run, right? Similar to this, vitamins, food, and high-quality supplements will never be able to solve the problem that is caused by the lack of the appropriate wavelength of light and by the overexposure to the wrong frequencies of light. So I do believe that many of us here on the call really are eager to experience more energy, to experience optimal health. And all of us here are not satisfied with mediocrity. We are looking for answers. We are eager to learn, and we want to achieve the optimal. So talking about the optimal, I've heard so many different definitions of what optimal health means. And I thought that I would share my own definition with you. Maybe you can relate. To me, optimal health is a state in which we have an abundance of energy that actually enable us to be of great service to our community, to our people, to our loved ones, and still have plenty of time and energy for self-development, for hobbies, for family, for things that we enjoy ourselves. So I'd like you to take a moment and check in with yourself. Are you in agreement with my definition of optimal health? And if you are, maybe drop a yes in the comment, or maybe say yes to your own self that, yes, I want this optimal state. So I'd like to share with you 7 very simple steps that will help you step forward on this journey to optimal health. Number 1, every morning you wake up, you go outside, face east, and watch the sunrise, directly or indirectly. Obviously, directly is better than indirectly. Keep in mind that if it's cloudy outside, you can still get the benefits because the sun is still behind those clouds. And all you need to do from a circadian perspective is to spend more time outside, because you have this system that can sum up photons over time. So the longer you are outside, the more photons are entering your circadian biological clock, and the more benefits you are getting. Number 2, sunbathing amply but safely. And I want to emphasize the word safely, because even though we are hearing about the great benefits of sunlight, of UVA and UVB, and all of these different frequencies, I want you to bear in mind that if you are someone who have been living an indoor lifestyle for most of your life, you want to be very careful in your transitioning so that you can start absorbing more light without burning. And there are strategic ways that you can do this to help you with this transitioning. I'm not going to be able to share all of them here because that's another topic by itself. However, if you follow our page Viva Rays, or you're on our newsletter, which you can sign up to on our website, I'll share this information by the end. We are continuously sharing with people about how they could absorb more light without burning. Number 3, taking those sunglasses off when you're outside. And I hope by now that you can start at least connecting some dots to why this is important. There's much more to come as you get educated more about the topic. But for now, it is important to start taking those sunglasses off and reconditioning your eyes to absorb more light. Number 4, if you're sitting indoors, you need to make sure that you're opening the windows around you, even if you're in the car. Why is that important? Because modern windows, unfortunately, they are designed to block a lot of beneficial frequencies of light, which makes the spectral distribution of sunlight absolutely distorted and potentially makes it dangerous. So anytime you're indoors, make sure that you open the windows so you're getting undistorted light. Number 5, wearing daytime circadian light therapy glasses when indoors and exposed to LED screens or under LED bulbs, like the ones I'm wearing right now. I'm going to talk a lot more about why these glasses are important and how they help you to improve the quality of the light that is entering through your eyes. Number 6, watching the sunset every evening. Again, directly or indirectly, it doesn't matter. It's about making the commitment to yourself to being outdoors during that time so that your body could witness that slowly fading light, which acts as very important information to your nervous system. Guess what? This is what enables you to wind down, to relax, to access more meditative states in the evening. It is very important. And finally, okay, sorry, what happened? Can you still share my screen? Yes? Okay.
Yes, but not number 7 just yet.
Okay, here it comes. So number 7, after we come back from our journey of watching the sunset, we come back home. We want to make sure that we're not exposed to the second sun that I mentioned. So we really want to create an environment in our place where the light is dimmer, where the color temperature is warmer, and where also we could be using nighttime circadian light therapy glasses, like the ones I'll be talking about as well, to filter out those wrong frequencies of light. So,
dude, were those just snap-on glasses?
Yes. So this is like a technology that we created where you could combine 3 different lenses in one frame.
I love it.
And yeah, it's as simple as boom. Okay, so many people today are dealing with inflammation, and we all know that inflammation is the beginning of what we call aging. And this is tightly related to light. Blue light in nature is a very stimulating color. It's considered a high frequency color. And just like exercise, for instance, it increases our reactive oxygen species and oxidative stress. However, we can never think of exercise as something bad, right? Because when we exercise in a moderate way and in a balanced way, this triggers the production of antioxidants, enhances the immune function, and protects the body from disease. So those reactive oxygen species are not necessarily something bad. However, if they go off balance, if there's overproduction of reactive oxygen species and a lack of the ability to clean them off, this is where we run into oxidative stress and oxidative damage. So with that being said, I think all of you on this call know very well that if you exercise chronically and not rest well, you're going to end up causing more harm than good. In the same way, blue light is not bad. However, chronically exposing yourself to artificial blue light day and night will increase those reactive oxygen species in an abnormal way. And as I mentioned, those are meant to be detoxified at night when we sleep. And the detoxification process starts a few hours after we stop getting blue and green light in our eyes. So when we expose ourselves to artificial light, reactive oxygen species are increasing. We are also losing our ability to detoxify those things, which leads to oxidative stress. And this becomes very high. It starts damaging the body's cells, proteins, and DNA, contributing to aging, chronic inflammation, and neurodegenerative disease. So light and sleep. I hear so many people all the time thinking that getting a great night's sleep consistently and waking up feeling refreshed and energized is something that happens by chance. This is not true. It never happens by chance. It happens by design. See how we sleep every night and how rested we feel every morning when we wake up is actually controlled by universal law. It happens by law. The scientific word for this law is the circadian law. So let's talk about circadian. Circadian comes from the Latin word circa and dia, which actually means approximately a day or 24 hours. And it's pointing to all of these biological rhythms that happen every 24-hour period. The most obvious one to all of us is sleeping and waking up. So this rhythm actually happens not to us alone as humans. It exists in animals and plants because we all undergo this unescapable daily change in our environment. The day must become night, and then it turns to day again, the yin and the yang. And the day and night must interchange in balance in our life. Otherwise, we create an unbalanced manifestation of this, which we see in chronic diseases. And I always say to people, being exposed to light only and focusing on light only without balancing that light with an equal amount of darkness is like focusing on your inhalation all the time and never exhaling. You'll end up exploding. You'll blow up. It doesn't work like this. The law of balanced rhythmic interchange controls all things in life. And one of the things that are obvious is light and darkness. So we can think of this circadian rhythm, I like to think of it at least, as this 24-hour symphony. And just like in every musical symphony, in order for the orchestra with many musician players to sync in together and to produce harmonious music, they actually need to be guided by a conductor that reads those musical notes and instructs those musicians on what to do so they can sync in and create beautiful music. In our body, it's kind of similar. We're always creating this vibration. And this vibration is either a dissonant one or one that is in harmony, that is communicating health, safety, and creativity. Now, this conductor in our body is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's a central clock that sits in the brain. And it's continuously reading those musical notes, this time coming from sunlight, and is responsible for telling all of the millions of musicians and musical players in our bodies, which are the organs and all of the cells, what to do. This is how all of our organs, all of our cells sync in together, start communicating well to produce harmonious music. And this is also how our body actually knows when to wake up in the morning, when to go to sleep at night, when to think of big problems and be creative, when to eat and when to digest. So imagine if this conductor in this musical symphony start reading the wrong musical notes. How would the music sound? Have you ever been to a symphony where the conductor is not properly reading the notes of music? I think not, but it will sound awful, and we know that. Now imagine for a second if this happens to your body. And it does every single day. Every single day in our modern life, we are not allowing this conductor to read the proper signals of light. This is because we are drowning it with artificial light that is mainly blue light coming from our devices and our bulbs. And this makes our body thinking that it's 12 noon, summertime, all year long, and that is supposed to be doing one single thing rather than the multitude of self-healing functions that nature has programmed our bodies to do across a 24-hour cycle and from season to season. We are meant to experience those changes, and a lot happens physiologically when we give our body the right information of light. So what really happened when I returned back from the farm to the city is that I went from a harmonious and blissful symphony as I was living on this farm to an absolutely dissonant and tuneless one when I moved back to the city. And at the time I was living in Toronto. And I'm still grateful for this contrast because it has enabled me to launch new desires of wanting to understand and led me to really connect with light and the law of balance. So have you ever asked yourself the question, why do I wake up every morning? Like what makes me wake up? I have asked. And this has also to do with light. See, the reason you wake up every morning is because light enters your eyes. And in response to this, our adrenal glands instantly release the hormones cortisol and adrenaline, which actually get programmed to be released even few minutes before we open our eyes, leading us to opening our eyes. And when this happens, that's when our hearts start picking few more beats per minute, and our breathing rate increase, our muscle start tensing, and this prepare us to start getting ready, focused, alert, and ready for an optimal day. And when this happens also, it sets a timer for another very important hormone called melatonin to be released about 12 to 14 hours after this healthy cortisol pulse in the morning. Now, melatonin, the sleep hormone, as funny as it may sound, has a lot to do with the light that enters our eyes in the morning. So when light enters our eyes also in the morning, we have the amino acids tryptophan, which actually convert into melatonin. And this melatonin is stored in our pineal gland, and it will not be released later on until our eyes perceive the absence of blue and green light. So even though we make melatonin in our eyes through morning sunlight, this melatonin will only be released, the melatonin signaling will move into our bloodstream once our eyes stopped receiving blue and green light at night. Now, why is that something absolutely essential? Because while most people today think of melatonin as the sleep hormone, here's what actually melatonin does. It prevents cancer. Melatonin is the highest antioxidant in nature. And it's primarily signaling that when it goes and flows into our bloodstream, it activates what we call healing, rejuvenation, and rest at night. It's anti-aging. It inhibits tumor growth, boosts our immune system, leads to better mood through serotonin, because this melatonin converts into the serotonin the following day. It prevents cardiovascular disease, prevents immune disease, lowers pain and anxiety, and lowers traumatic stress. So we can now see that melatonin is absolutely essential hormone. And we need the right melatonin levels in our body to actually sleep well and to achieve what we spoke about as optimal health. Now, here's the question that comes up so much when I'm talking about melatonin and its importance. What about melatonin supplement? Can't I just take a melatonin pill and get this optimal health that we're speaking about? The simple answer to this is absolutely not. Why is that? Melatonin is a hormone. It's not a vitamin. And it's actually produced in our eyes, as I mentioned, in response to morning sunlight, when those important amino acids get the light energy to convert. And it only gets activated at night in response to darkness. So it's really related and programmed to be an effect of this balanced rhythmic interchange between light and darkness. And assuming that we can disregard the laws of nature and replace the complexity of this 1,000-year-old biological process through which we have evolved to interact with light and darkness with a human man-made pill, is absolutely far from achieving optimal health. Okay, the other reason is that melatonin supplements have been also shown to negatively impact the production of other hormonal systems in our body, like testosterone and estrogen. And lastly, commercially available melatonin pills are completely an unregulated industry. The amount of melatonin that has been tested for several brands, and it actually turned out that it can be about 500% more than what is listed on the bottle, which is dramatic. Why is that dramatic? Because the brain actually produces about 0.2 microgram of melatonin naturally. Now, guess what? Most supplements, they claim 1 to 10 microgram, which is already very high compared to what our body produces. Never mind getting 400% more than this. And what actually happens, the absorption of melatonin will extend into the morning hours. And then we wake up feeling extremely sleepy and groggy at the wrong time of the day, because melatonin is still high in our bodies at the wrong time when cortisol is actually supposed to start kicking in. So here's Dr. Fritz Hollwich, a German scientist that I mentioned before. He published very interesting papers in the 1970s showing how sitting under artificial blue light increases our stress hormone cortisol and ACTH. Now, cortisol at night should be around 1 microgram per deciliter. When I first did my test, it was 10 microgram per deciliter, which is scarily very, very common. 95% of our clients who take the test, they show their cortisol peaking at night. And this is problematic, because if your cortisol is peaking at night, then you're wired, you're stimulated, you're stressed, and you're going to sleep terribly. And your cells won't be able to rejuvenate and repair at night. Now, another big problem is the morning cortisol. When you first wake up, it should be around 16 microgram per deciliter. When I first did also my test, my morning cortisol was very low. And that explains why I used to wake up feeling extremely fatigued, sluggish, and unable to kickstart my day. Now, why is that? Because I was secreting all of this cortisol chronically at the wrong time of the day because of my bad habits around artificial light. So if you or anyone you know or you work with wake up in the morning feeling sluggish, struggling with momentum, and especially those of us who continuously need coffee and stimulants to kickstart the day, this is actually a sign of low cortisol in the morning. And what you could simply do is get your cortisol going through sunlight in the morning and block artificial light at night so that you're secreting proper melatonin instead of cortisol. And this will enable you to reset this cortisol melatonin rhythm that happens every 24 hours following the sun rising and the sun setting. So when I share this with people, most people don't believe that the wrong artificial light at night could actually increase your blood glucose level without you eating. Isn't that crazy? Now, how does that happen? Because this artificial light is increasing cortisol, and we all know that cortisol's role is to provide glucose to prepare the body for the fight and flight mechanism. This actually increases our blood sugar level, and it starts leading to carbs and sugar cravings. This is my friend, Dr. Sachin Patel, who always says that a chaotic blood sugar level leads to a chaotic mind and chaotic emotions. And when our emotions are chaotic and all over the place, we are much more likely to make bad decisions. And we will have those tendencies even to make bad food choices, picking junk, sugary, carby, unhealthy food rather than whole, organic, and nutritious food. It will affect our decision in our relationships, in our businesses. We really want to maintain a balanced blood sugar level. And what I often see is people start using their willpower to overcome sugar and carb craving and those intense impulses to go and eat at night. However, the problem with this is no matter how much you try to use your willpower, if you are going against the laws of nature with your will, you are going to struggle so much. And you are going to find it difficult. And it's not going to be natural. It's not going to be second nature. Whereas it's so fascinating that when people start taking control over the light that entering their eyes, when they start living in rhythm and they are in alignment with the laws of nature, it becomes so easy to make better food decisions. But not only this, it becomes also easy to overcome those food cravings at night because you will suddenly find yourself feeling much more satisfied in the evening. And your hunger will kick in early in the morning instead. This is the power of rhythm. Also, Dr. Sachin, he shared with me a very interesting story, and I thought I'll share this with you. After he started using our Viva Rays glasses consistently, he was monitoring his blood sugar level using a monitor. And he noticed that his blood sugar level was much more stable, even though he didn't change his food diet. Why is that? Because his chronic exposure to this blue light was causing his blood sugar to spike and crash, despite how much he was controlling his food intake. Also, let's talk about light and weight gain and hunger levels. You might be familiar with the hormone leptin. It's a hormone that is stored under the skin in our fat tissues. And leptin is actually released after every meal to signal to our brain that we have enough energy reserve and that we are feeling full. And therefore, we stop eating. We feel this satisfaction. Now, when our eyes stop receiving blue and green light at night after the sunset, leptin, through the circadian rhythm, is actually programmed to travel up to the hypothalamus in the brain. And what it does, it actually upregulates our thyroid hormone. And this increases our metabolism and our growth hormone. And all of this means is that it will activate this natural phenomena of burning fat at night while sleeping. So I'm going to repeat this. As human beings, we are designed to burn fat at night most efficiently as we are sleeping and doing nothing. How many of you here would love to effortlessly burn fat at night while sleeping and resting? Maybe type yes in the comment if you do. I know it's not a very logical question, because who wouldn't love this? Now, the problem is twofold when we are dealing with leptin. Number one is that this artificial light exposure is actually increasing inflammation and free radicals in our body. Now, what happens when inflammation increases is start blocking the leptin signal to the brain. So our brain cannot know that we have enough energy reserve and that we are feeling full. And what actually also artificial light is doing is it's suppressing this melatonin, and it's delaying leptin to travel into the hypothalamus in the brain and increase our metabolism. And this all means that it will increase our hunger levels, aggravate sugar and carbs craving, and it will decrease our natural ability to burn fat at night, which is the perfect recipe if you want to gain weight. If you really want to gain weight, do this and you will be successful. I think lastly, before we move into explaining a little bit about the glasses, I'd like to talk about light and mood briefly. So this is Dr. Samer Hittar, a chronobiologist and circadian expert. And he recently published a paper showing how very little artificial blue and green light arriving at the eyes at night, one, suppresses the release of dopamine the following morning when we wake up. And it also, too, negatively influences our cognition and our memory. Now, what does that mean? It means that you will wake up feeling less happy, less motivated, and much more likely to be feeling disappointed, because interestingly, this light has been shown to trigger a center in the brain. I believe it's called the habenula, and is known as the disappointment center. And not only this, but you will also be much less efficient and productive at your work, because you're dealing with less cognition, less focus, less memory. Excuse me. So as I was learning all of this, I remember asking myself a very important question. Is there a way to have this freedom to still live in this modern world harmoniously while not sabotaging our sleep, our health, and our well-being? And this question also led me to discover about blue light blocking glasses. And when I heard about blue light blocking glasses, I felt very excited. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is such a great tool. So I instantly bought ones from my optometrist in clear lenses, which I paid so much for. And after trying them for a few weeks, I didn't experience any benefits. Like, how come? And what I quickly realized is that those clear lenses were actually a marketing gimmick. Now, why is that? Because they block blue light up to 420 nanometer in wavelength, which is literally not emitted by LED bulbs and screens, as you can see in this graph. What we see here is the spectral distribution of an LED bulb or screen, which peaks at 455 nanometer and doesn't emit any blue light below 430 nanometer. So those clear blue light blocking glasses were actually blocking a blue light that is not emitted by those devices. It's pointless and inefficient. I say to people, it's like trying to rinse your quinoa in a pasta strainer. The quinoa will end up passing through the holes because it's literally the wrong filter. So at this point, as I discovered this, I started learning about the orange tinted glasses. So I got excited again. And I bought those from an online company. And after trying them for a while, I started experiencing some benefits. However, there was something still very off, and I didn't know why. I was experiencing unexplainable drops of energy suddenly during the day, and I couldn't understand why. So at this point, I started getting impatient with this whole blue light thingy. Like, why is it not working? And I felt some frustration because I thought that eliminating blue light from my life would be the answer to all of my problems. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case. And what I quickly realized that unlike what you hear from so many experts, that blue light is bad and blue light is evil, blue light is actually not bad nor evil. In fact, blue light during the day is extremely important. It stimulates our circadian clock more than any other colors. It boosts our energy and focus. It elevates our mood, and it regulates our circadian rhythms. So I'm seeing some faces, whoa, like some confusion maybe. Maybe by now you're probably thinking, well, this whole blue light controversy is completely confusing. Like, how could it be from one side that is very destructive and from the other side it's very beneficial? Well, let's explore this. Blue light is neither good nor bad. Just like anything in nature, it just is. And it is relative, okay? Now, what do I mean by relative? Its effects on us will really depend on the time of the day we are exposing ourselves to it. That's number one, the timing. Number two is whether it is proportionate and balanced with the other frequencies of light. So with these two very important things to bear in mind, the answer became very simple because the man-made junk light that we are exposing ourselves to is actually very different than the light of sunlight. I call it the McDonald's of lighting, and it truly is. Now, here's why. This is the spectral distribution of sunlight. I'd like you to take a moment and look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. It's balanced. It's symmetrical. All of the colors are balancing each other out. It's very proportionate. There is a lot of blue, which you can see here, yet it's balanced with all the yellow, orange, and red. In contrast, here's what humans make. Sometimes we don't look so much to create beauty and symmetry and rhythm. And the results of this, we don't think that is going to affect our health, yet it does. Here's what humans make. We make a light that peaks at 455 nanometer in wavelength or in blue. And it's very deficient in the blue turquoise even, yellow, orange, and red light. And this specific frequency at 455 nanometer, when we are exposing ourselves to it in isolation, there is hundreds of studies showing that it's very degenerative to the cells. It creates degeneration. It leads to aging. It leads to inflammation. Now, why does this doesn't happen when we are in sunlight? Because we are naturally exposed to the regenerative light from the yellow, orange, red, and infrared, which balance out any degeneration that is happening from high frequency light. Now we have addressed the first part which is whether the light is balanced and proportionate. Let's talk about the time of the day. The time of the day is absolutely important when we're speaking about blue light, because at nighttime, very little amount of blue and green will really disturb your circadian clock, disturb your sleep, and lead you to wake up feeling tired and less motivated. Why is that? The answer is simple. There's no such thing like blue and green light in nature after the sunset. We are not designed to expose ourselves to those colors. So if we wanted to live harmoniously in this modern world, we really needed a dynamic solution that is able to block different amounts of artificial light at different times of the day in a way that is in alignment with the light in nature. And as I personally and the people in Viva on our team kept looking for the right blue blocking glasses, what we actually quickly realized is that 95% of those companies were offering a one-for-all solution, like one glasses that will do everything for you all day long. And 95% of those companies weren't providing a scientific testing that showed exactly how much their lenses are filtering. So finally, we decided to make our own. And we teamed up with optic experts from British Columbia and also consulted some of the world-leading experts in circadian biology. So we can come up with this 3-lens circadian light filtering eyewear that is designed strategically and engineered to filter different frequencies of light at different times of the day in ways that are absolutely in alignment with the light outside. So I'm going to start speaking about the daytime circadian light filtering eyewear, which I'm wearing over here. And those are designed to actually decrease the sharpness of blue light at 455 nanometer, as you can see in this graph, the first one. And it's making it more balanced and proportionate with the green and yellow. Okay, so this is actually a step towards balance. It's not absolute balance yet, for sure, because we're not getting the balanced rhythmic sunlight in our eyes. However, it's getting us a step towards balance when we are indoors exposed to those devices. Now, you might have seen many companies selling yellow blue light blocking glasses. And I want to share with you why those are actually very problematic, especially when most of them, after testing dozens, we saw that they block 100% of the blue light 455 nanometer, which you can see here in the second graph. And in the process of doing this, they wipe out all of the blue turquoise at 480 nanometer that could be coming through the window. Now, why is that important? For 2 reasons. One, we're being reductionist. We're eliminating a color thinking that it's bad, whereas we absolutely need this color because it's very important. There's a reason why it exists in nature, and we want to balance it rather than eliminate it. And also, the 480 nanometer wavelength in the blue turquoise happens to be the frequency of light that the protein in the eye, melanopsin, that absorb light, is most sensitive, which means that we need a lot of it during the day for our brain to understand that it's daytime. And this also explains why when I was using other blue light blocking glasses that didn't really know what they're doing, I was feeling on one side, but on the other side, I was feeling unexplainable drops of energy, and I would start feeling sleepy during the day when I'm supposed to be feeling energized. And this is also exactly why these lenses, they are designed to maximize the blue turquoise that could be coming through the window at 480 nanometer, so that you could get rid of all eye strain, eye fatigue, headaches, and agitation that you would usually experience in front of those devices, but still have all of your energy so to continue your day without feeling sleepy. So number 2, the evening lenses, which you see me clipping on right now. I'm not gonna keep them on because it's not the right time for those lenses, for instance. Those evening lenses, they are an amazing transition between the daytime lenses and the nighttime lenses. And they are designed to allow you to wind down and relax after the sunset. They block 100% of the blue and only the highest frequency green. And yet they keep enough green from the spectrum so that you can still function and do your evening activities without feeling very tired, okay? And this is very important because if I put these right after the sunset, which I'm going to explain what these are, I'm going to be feeling super sleepy in an hour and I won't be able to run my evening activities, which could get very dysfunction. So these guys here, they were engineered to mimic the color temperature of the fire at 1800 kelvins. Because we all know that by the beginning of the bonfire, there's this magical effect where we feel relaxed, we wind down, and yet we have enough energy to cook, dance, and socialize with our friends. So these are the evenings. The nighttime. Boom. As soon as you finish from your evening activities, you want to transition into those nighttime ones, which emulate the full darkness or the end of the bonfire when the wood turns into amber coil. If you've been around a bonfire, you know that by this time you're super cozy, you're super sleepy, you're ready for bed. And this is what these glasses are designed for. They block 100% of the blue and 100% of the green. But not only this, they decrease the brightness by 15 times. Now, why is that important? Because this feature is almost never present in any other glasses. And it's an equally important feature as blocking blue and green light, because bright light of any color at night could actually shift our circadian clock in the wrong direction. Now, finally, this is something that I always enjoy talking about, because in Viva Rays, we are continuously focused on sustainability. Our wood, our frames are made from FSC certified wood, which is a certification that ensures that all of the forests are being sustainably harvested and taken care of. We also collaborate with a carbon neutral lab in Canada that produces our lenses, and they operate on geothermal and solar energy. And why is that important? It's important to us because we want to decrease how much waste we are producing in this world, because no matter how much we optimize our health, if we keep engaging in practices and buying products that are cheap, plastic, and really polluting everywhere around us, no matter how much we optimize our health, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going into the second half of the cycle, the destruction death cycle. Okay. So I'm going to end here the presentation with few words. I'd like to say a few things. Like when we discover power or anything that is powerful, with that comes some responsibility of how we're going to actually make use of this power. And as you may have discovered today, that light is a very, very powerful tool that could be used for healing, yet it could also be used for destruction. So I want to invite all of us today to really be the agent of change and to share with everyone we know, with all of our loved ones, inspiring them to know about the truth there is to light and this ultimate power that it holds in our lives. Okay, so if this presentation today inspired you even 1%, I'd love if you can give back and inspire someone else 1%, because that's all it is about. Inspiration is to be given out to others. And this is truly what it is about.
Dude, I love it. That was so great. I thought I knew a lot about sleep and light, and I learned a lot of great things today. I did notice when I'm backpacking and I'm out in the woods, like it's like everything is better, right? Even digestion is better. And I'm like, I'm eating the same exact freaking stuff.
Absolutely.
And so, and this makes so much sense. I've been teaching sleep for a while, and I've always intuitively felt like I understood that there's an importance to catching like sunrise, early morning light, getting punctuated light exposure throughout the day because there's something different about it. But now I understand a little bit more why I kind of intuitively felt that way. So that was just really, really powerful information. And the majority of what you're talking about and recommending here doesn't cost much of anything. Like it's really just acknowledging getting the natural light and not being exposed to the artificial light as much as possible at the right times. So
absolutely. It's very simple. Yeah. It's very simple stuff. Yeah. Radically transformative when we start doing them in the right way. But the problem is that when we are programmed to do things in certain ways, that it takes a little bit of a learning curve to find ourselves with this new rhythm. But once you find this rhythm, or the rhythm finds you, actually, there's no stepping back, literally.
Yeah. Well, and I love too, I love businesses that are created around answering a question and solving a problem with a good heart behind it, and that's and a good intention behind it. And that's I love everything about what you represent and all the powerful information you have to share. And I'm excited to try the classes. I know that we do have some questions that have popped up. I'm going to start with just mine. I don't know if I should read them or if people want to come on and ask, but
I'd love if people come on and ask, but if they're not comfortable, then we could do the chat.
I'm going to call them up. But my first question is, what if because of schedules, you can't catch the sunrise or you can't catch the sunset? I try to most days, but I know a lot of us just have, work and life schedules that don't facilitate that. So it's just optimal. And then do you have any recommendations around that? Obviously using the glasses when appropriate, but.
Yeah. So I like, would you be able to still get 3 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, I can catch early light. Like sometimes I go to bed at 6:30 most nights just because I have to get up so early. And depending on the time of year, like in the summer right now, it's still really light outside. It's impossible for me to catch the sunset, but I can do some glasses, and then sometimes depending on the time of year, like sunrise is a little bit later and I get up so early that I'm, working or something like that. But yeah, I do definitely make a point to get out. But for those of us that's a really hard thing, just doing the best you can with it, or do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, so like the point is like optimally you want to activate your circadian clock through the morning sunlight and not through artificial light. And here comes the question, like if I wake up 2-3 hours before the sunrise in the winter, what do I do then? The problem is that if you start exposing your eyes to artificial light right away, artificial light is at 6,500 kelvins, which is very different from morning sunrise at 2,000 kelvins. And kelvins is the color temperature of the light, okay? Now, when your eyes start perceiving 6,500 kelvins early in the morning, your whole body receives signals that is 12 noon. And it creates a cellular stress because your clocks will think that they're late and they need to speed up, okay? Which leads to chronic cellular stress. And that is partly also how aging happens, of like our chronological clock moving much faster than it needs to do. So with that being said, the best recommendation I would say is wearing the evening glasses in the morning, but then making the lights super bright so that you're getting this bright light from artificial light that activates your circadian clock. But at the same time, you're not getting the wrong color temperature of light that is throwing you off. And then the moment the sun rises, be outside for at least 3 minutes. I would say the longer, the better. I say like 10, 15. To me, 2 hours, it's non-negotiable every morning, because after testing so much, I know that I could do 20 times more, and I could be 20 times a better human being when I'm making the time to be outdoors for those 2 hours. So everyone will be different. Experiment, see what works for you. But it's also about understanding when UVA rises and when UVB rises, because those are very important windows of time that are essential for you to be outdoors. And depending on your environment, they might rise later in the day. So what I highly recommend is using the app, Circadian app, which actually start helping you to understand your environment and know when the sun is rising, when UVA is rising, when UVB is rising. And therefore, you could deliberately make the time to be outside during those essential windows of time where the new frequencies of light are being layered upon the ones that have already got in there or risen.
What was the name of that app? Ready?
Circadian app. I'm gonna actually, you know what? I'll share with you the.
Uh-oh. No. I don't know. He froze. Looks like everybody's freezing. Maybe mine. No, car is moving. Chris is moving. All right, so he froze. Cool. So to summarize that, I think what we're hearing is if you get up really early, then you put on the nighttime until the sun comes up, then you step outside.
You just put
And then
the
if you-
lights on in your house.
And put the lights on in your house. And then if you get up after the sun comes up, then you get out as soon as you can. Oh no, man. Roudy. What happened to Roudy? Hey, I just want to thank all y'all for being here while he's trying to reconnect or whatever's going on with him. He got booted off. But yeah, if y'all don't mind, because we have some good questions in here, I'm just going to go through and if you could just, I'll call Fred out. If Fred's still here. There you are. You back in?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry.
All right.
So I was saying that by the end of the call, I'll share with you the link for the Circadian app and the link for the guide that we've written, Light, the Key to Mastering Your Sleep and Energy, which has great action steps that anyone could take today to improve their light.
Yep.
And I'll also share with you guys a special discount code for anyone who's interested in the Viva Rays classes.
Yeah, we have don't we have a special one set up for us? Can't remember what it was. But yeah, so to summarize what you were saying, so you get up before the sunrise, then you would wear the nighttime ones until the sun comes up and then get outside immediately. If you wake up after the sun comes up, then you would just get out as soon as you can.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right, so Fred, you had a question, if you don't mind jumping in. Fred, I gotta unmute him.
Hi.
There you
Hi, Fred.
Are blackout blinds useful at night for light pollution?
Yes, absolutely. If you can get those, that's great. And also blackout masks like this guy here that are customizable to the eyes are great. Those are very well needed so that you can make your room as dark as possible. However, when you start getting morning, like some people worry about like, okay, if my room is very dark, how am I gonna wake up? You're gonna wake up because of your internal alarm clock, which start happening when you properly get morning sunlight when you wake up and you block artificial light at night. And then you have this natural alarm clock in you that will nudge you to wake up before the sunrise.
Cool. All right. And then Suzanne had asked, but I think you answered the question about taking melatonin supplements. Let's see, who was our next one here? I asked that. Can you get these glasses in prescription? And I'm pretty sure that we were looking last night. And
yes, absolutely. You can get these glasses in prescription, all type of prescription. Our optometrist, NBC, is able to create them.
Cool. And then Chris had asked because of the part where you talked about cortisol levels being off. I think that's so fascinating that a lot of us get tested by well-intentioned doctors, and we get a cortisol test, and they try everything in the world to get your cortisol patterns in line. And I guarantee you, not one of them are talking about artificial light.
Yeah.
Right? So Chris had asked, can you test for cortisol at home? And I'm pretty sure you can just go through like direct labs or something to order your own test, right? That's not one that has to be ordered by a doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. You can test your cortisol at home through saliva, or I think the blood one might require your doctor ordering that for you. There's a lot of new stuff happening and coming up, so maybe also the blood you could do it at home. I'm not sure.
Yep. Cool. And then Chandler, you had a question. Did that get answered yet? You want to pop on?
Sure. Mr. Nassif,
Could you tell me, a lot of us go to bed when the sun is still up. Are the evening and date or nighttime lenses still effective to be used in that situation, or do you have another suggestion for usage?
So I'm assuming that you're talking about summertime up in the higher latitude when the sun sets really late.
That's correct.
Okay, so basically during those times, if you're going to sleep before the sun setting, then you probably don't need the glasses at that time. You'll start needing them later in the fall, evening, and spring, winter, and spring when the sun sets earlier.
Thank you.
So no glasses, like say you go to bed before the sun goes down. So not even the nighttime glasses an hour before?
Well, the daytime glasses for sure, right? Now, if you want to optimize your melatonin, if you want to optimize your melatonin and like create an effect where like you're basically, because you're sleeping before the sunset, right? What I would suggest is like you want to give your body the signal that it's properly dark when it's actually not. So in that case, the glasses will definitely help. Putting the glasses 1 hour before bed, because it's gonna definitely maximize your melatonin production.
Okay, so daylight glasses only when you're indoors.
Yes,
right.
never outdoors.
For artificial light or on a computer, something like that. When you're outdoors, no sunglasses, at least part of the time. So you're getting some of that communication into your retinas.
Absolutely.
And of course, the benefits of direct sun exposure in the skin. And then in the evening, if you know what your bedtime is, you've got a couple of hours there, like a window, you could do this transition from the evening to the nighttime, an hour before bed or something like that.
Yes. So ideally the sun is setting, you come back home, you put your evening lenses, no matter where you are, because you're going to be surrounded by all kinds of artificial lights. Even when you go to visit a friend, you want to be consistent, right? Circadian rhythm is all about consistency. It's about getting consistent light information into your system that is guiding you for the timing of everything.
Yeah.
Hormonal production, digestion, all of these things.
Cool. So if you know your schedule and you can't really do much to change it, then you can mimic transitioning into evening and nighttime with those evening and nighttime glasses.
Absolutely.
Cool. I think that's the majority of questions that we had. Does anybody have anything else? Thank you for sticking around. Had a few people that had jet out.
Yeah.
I do have one more question, Paul, that is a little bit more on the philosophical end. And it goes to the tune of, do you think human evolution is going to eventually compensate, to battle this problem with screens and the artificial light? Because those aren't going away. So I'm hoping that maybe human evolution will be able to adjust for it eventually. What is your opinion on that?
Well, that's a very interesting question. But from what I'm seeing today, that a lot of our modern chronic diseases are being driven by the wrong frequencies of light in ways where it's actually creating circadian disruption and destroying our mitochondria. So when we're speaking about artificial light, on one side of the cone, we are talking about billions of years of evolution around a native frequency of light from sunlight that has driven the evolution from bacteria into mitochondria into what we call a human being. And if we were to compare this frame of time, this massive frame of time, to the invention of the light bulb and our exposure to artificial non-native light, it's just a drop of water in the ocean, literally. And with that being said, even with that, we are starting to see massive problems and massive chronic diseases erupting out of this basic law of balanced rhythmic interchange between light and darkness. So to answer your question, if we keep moving the way we are moving, and if those problems that we are bumping into do not inspire us to create solutions that are in alignment with Mother Nature doesn't take it personally, right? Like, it's not going to be hurt from us. And the worst scenario is that we could be wiped out, literally. Like our DNA and how it's evolved is could literally take a different direction.
Yeah, so it's taken billions of years to get here. It's going to take a really long time to evolve our way out of it, but more than likely we're either kill ourselves or come up with some inventive solutions, kind of like what you have.
And also, like, no matter what we do, if we are engaging in thoughts or actions that are not abiding to the one principle of balance, our manifestation are going to be out of balance. And our physical bodies are but manifestations of our minds. And our minds are the light of our soul. And the light of our soul is designed to be in alignment with universal light. And universal light is always in absolute rest and absolute balance. And this is why creation is eternal. And if our creations are not abiding to this one principle, all this means is that our own creations will be non-eternal and will be on the side of destruction rather than the side of creation.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Chandler. And thank all of y'all for being here. So we recorded this. We'll make this available. We'll also provide all the resources that Roudy gives us, including we have a special link and I think a discount code. And yeah, thank you so much for your time today, Roudy. That was very enlightening, very empowering. I know I'm very excited to get these glasses.
Awesome. Yes, thanks everyone.
But even just the tips and the confirmation of, like you said, it's almost like you can't outsmart Mother Nature. You need to work in rhythm and try to get the balance and everything else. So, yep, really appreciate it.
Great community. Thanks everyone for showing up, and hoping we could do more of that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I look forward to it. So thanks again, Roudy.